Once upon a time, there lived a young maiden named Ayomide. She was the daughter of a respected hunter, Babatunde, who was known far and wide for his bravery and wisdom. Although Babatunde's family didn't have much, but they were contented with the little they had. Ayomide was a beautiful and spirited girl, full of dreams and aspirations. She had a love for learning and a kind heart that endeared everyone in the village. However, tragedy struck when Ayomide's father, Babatunde, fell ill and passed away unexpectedly, leaving behind Ayomide and her 6 siblings under the care of their mother, Aduni. Aduni is a hard-working market woman. She struggled to provide for her children. Ayomide, being the eldest, took on the responsibility of helping her mother and caring for her younger siblings. Despite her determination to continue her education, Ayomide was forced to drop out of school to support her family. She took up the various odd jobs in the village, from selling fruits in the market to working as a maid for wealthy families. But Ayomide's dream of a better life seemed to fade away with each passing day as she toiled tirelessly to make ends meet. One fateful day, a wealthy man named Adeolu, known for his lavish lifestyle and powerful connections, visited the village. Adeolu was captivated by Ayomide's beauty and innocence and made a proposition to her mother. He offered to marry Ayomide and promised to take care of her and her family for the rest of their lives. Seeing this as an opportunity to lift her family out of poverty, Aduni agreed to the marriage without consulting Ayomide. Ayomide's heart sank when she learned of her mother's decision, and she asked her mother, "Mama, why will you say I should marry that man? How about my dreams of becoming a medical doctor? If I marry that man, I won't achieve any of my dreams, Mama. Besides, that man is Papa's age mate. I can't marry him." And Aduni, her mother, replied, "Ayomide, my daughter, you know I love you, and I will not deceive you. This man has so much money that can take us out of poverty. You are our only hope of leaving poverty. Please marry this man, for the sake of your late father and the sake of your younger ones. Aduni, you must marry this man." After listening to her mother's response, she felt betrayed and trapped, but she knew that she had no choice but to obey her mother's wishes. And so, Ayomide was married off to Adeolu, a man old enough to be her father, from a different faith and background. But she just had to, because she needed to take care of her poor mother and younger siblings. As Ayomide stepped into her new home, she was greeted by luxury and opulence, but it brought her no joy. Adeolu was a cold-hearted and distant man who showed little interest in Ayomide beyond her physical appearance. He spent most of his time away from home. He didn't care about how Ayomide was feeling. He spent most days outside, leaving Ayomide alone and isolated in a house full of servants who care more about their master's wealth than her well-being. One day, Ayomide decided to confront Adeolu, and she asked, "Mr. Man, you are supposed to be my husband. You don't care about how I feel. You don't care about my well-being. Have I done anything wrong to you?" And Adeolu responded, "Yes, you have, because I already bought you from your family. I spent so much money during the wedding, and I'm sure your poor mother willingly gave you to me just because of my money. And you accepted. Now you are in my house. You shouldn't worry about how I treat you. You are my property, and my property you shall remain, because I have spent so much on you and your family. Ayomide responded, but I never begged you to marry me. Besides, I wasn't there when you and my mother decided to give me out to you in marriage. So what are you talking about? If you don't like me as a wife, please release me. I want to go home. It's not like I am enjoying your place. And Adeolu said, you are already trapped here, dear wife. You have no place to go. You will remain here. Ayomide's days were filled with loneliness and despair as she yearned for love and companionship. She cried herself to sleep every night, longing for the freedom she once knew. Adeolu became a man of terror. Ayomide was so scared of her own husband that just by the sound of the car horn at the gates, she would begin to tremble in fear. Rumors spread throughout the village that Adeolu had other young wives whom he had married before, but none of his wives ever lived more than 2 years in the marriage. They wondered what could have happened to Adeolu's former wives, but nobody had the answer to that question. Feeling trapped and hopeless, Ayomide contemplated running away from her oppressive marriage. But the fear of her husband's wrath kept her rooted in place. It was said that Adeolu was a powerful and malevolent man who practiced dark magic and had a hold over his family that was as strong as iron chains. Ayomide knew that if she dared to defy her husband, she would be risking her life. One day, Ayomide's mother visited her in her home, and she confided in her mother, "Mama, I cannot stay in this man's house any longer. He doesn't treat me nice at all. I am tired. I feel like I'm in a prison." And her mother responded, "Ayomide, you want to take me back to poverty? You want me to stay and suffer again? Please, you have to stay here, oh. If not for anything, for the money. Don't you see the way we are now enjoying?" And Ayomide thought of that as a fact and decided to stay back. Ayomide lived in constant fear in Adeolu's home. But Ayomide's spirit could not be broken so easily. Despite the threats and the fear that consumed her, she found the courage to seek help from an unlikely source, the village elder, Elder Adebayo, a wise and respected man known for his fairness and compassion. With tears streaming down her face, Ayomide poured out her heart to Adebayo, revealing the truth about her miserable marriage and the threats she faced from her husband. Adebayo listened intently to her story, his heart heavy with sorrow for the young maiden who had been robbed of her innocence and freedom. Determined to help Ayomide break free from her chains, Adebayo devised a plan to confront Adeolu and expose his wickedness to the entire village. Adebayo confronted Adeolu and demanded that he should release Ayomide from her forced marriage and cease his tyrannical ways. At first, Adeolu scoffed at the accusations leveled against him, but when faced with the overwhelming evidence of his cruelty and injustice, he could no longer deny the truth. And with a heavy heart, Adeolu confessed that he belonged to a secret society where all he had to do was to marry a very young and tender maiden, and after 2 years, he would then sacrifice this maiden to his secret courts. The villagers were so pissed to hear this story because they've always wondered why all the young maidens that always married Adeolu never made it to the 3rd year in marriage. and they decided to take Adeolu to their king for punishment. Adeolu pleaded for mercy, but they refused to listen. And so, Adeolu was chased out of the village for good. And he was banished not to ever step foot in that village again. And so, Ayomide was finally liberated from her prison of despair, thanks to the bravery and compassion of one man and the support of an entire community. She returned to her mother's embrace. Her mother, filled with regret, apologized to her daughter, and she said, "Ayomide, please forgive me. I was covered by money. I allowed the love of money overshadow my love for you. I am so sorry, my daughter." Ayomide forgave her mother. Her spirit was stronger than ever before, determined to reclaim her dreams and build a better future for herself and her family. She started working hard towards going back to school. And so, Ayomide gained admission into the university after writing JAMB and struggling to make ends meet. Few years later, Ayomide graduated and became a medical doctor and liberated her family completely from pain and poverty. And that is how Ayomide's story ended. The moral of the story is that no one should ever be forced to endure a life of misery and oppression. It is important to speak up against injustice and seek help from others when faced with overwhelming challenges. With courage and determination and the support of those who care, even the darkest of storms can be withered, and the light of hope can shine once more. Thank you so much for watching my story. My name is Onye Stories and Folktales. And please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so when I post more interesting videos like this, you'll be the first to get them. I appreciate you and appreciate your time. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.